board, the Tom Blake Chamber as they can for looking for a place to live, and I predict that.
So my happy task here this morning for Governor Wallace is to welcome the Air Force Data Systems Design Center here to Montgomery, out to the state of Alabama and to Montgomery. And I know that you bring to Alabama not only the payrolls that's been mentioned by Colonel Bass and the others, but you are bringing a talent and a contribution to our state which will make it a better state for your presence here amongst us. So we do want to welcome the 500 officers and men that are coming with you here, and we certainly welcome the civilian personnel positions which will be allied with your installation, and we know that this will mean much to the economy of this area. I'd like to say that I personally think that you will find Alabama a good state. I know that you will find it a hospitable and friendly state, and one in which you will certainly feel welcome. I don't think there'll be any doubt of that.
I think that we need to pass a bill that we can be real proud of. In my opinion, the matter of public officials engaging in business dealings with the state goes to the heart of the ethics problem. I don't believe that we can be completely fair or open-minded or objective in our judgments where state business is concerned if we're down here in Montgomery dealing with the state and doing business with the state, and when we're dependent on state business for our livelihood. I believe we'll have a better legislature if we prohibit legislators from doing business with the state so that they have to keep their personal interests free and separate from their legislative duties.
If I owned a piece of property on a state highway, the state decided to widen that highway and offered me a fair price for it, I would have to reject it and force the state to condemn that land. In other words, if I didn't and tried to negotiate with the state, that would be a conflict of interest. Another example on the selling of goods to the state. There are many merchants in this legislature, and I'm sure that they sell to the state and subdivisions of this state on a competitive bid basis. This means that even though they put in the lowest responsible bid, they could not do so, because if they did, and if it was accepted, it would also violate the amendment that Mr. Lutz is offering to us.
House Bill 1892 came out of judiciary, and this is a companion bill to my ethics bill, 161. And what this does is just to provide for the code of ethics for the members of the legislature. Now, we're not singling out the legislature for any particular reason except the Supreme Court says that we are the only people that can regulate ourselves. And this is
Engage in any type of business with any department, agency, board, bureau, or commission of the state of Alabama.
Mr. Speaker,
Chair recognizes Gentleman Madison.
Revenues this fiscal year to support education will be 375 and 6 cents million. Next year we feel that they will have grown to 398 and 1 cents million. In the second year of the biennium, we propose and think we'll get 417 and 3 cents million. Now your appropriations for this fiscal year 70-71, 384 and 7 cents million is against 375 in revenue. Proposed appropriations here for the coming biennium is 396 and 8 cents million and 419 and 4 cents million. If these appropriations, the totals, are put into effect at the end of the biennium, we'll have nothing in the Alabama Special Education Trust.
2, 3, 4s, 5s that they have today, sir. There is no differential in it.
I saw that differential in the budget.
It was requested, sir, in the budget, but was not funded.
Appropriating two of them, some $30 million is necessary. We'll appropriate the first year $11.5 million less, and
But it's been cut to 500, and as this program gets underway, I think you'll see the need.
Cut down on the program that we already have in order to add an additional Now, I know the Special Education Trust Fund at the end of last month had about $134 left in it. We still lack nearly $12 million paying off last month's bills. Now, the point I want to make is just what Mr. Jordan has said. I'm certainly for special education. But we already have had deducted in your bill here, as Mr. Jordan said, $1.5 million for this trooper business. That comes out of the minimum program. We also have earmarked 500 teacher units, which will cost about $4 million, which will further reduce the amount of money that we have in the minimum program for the regular school program that we're now operating. Now, the point I'm making is, if we are going to add these additional units, we cannot do it with adding some money to the minimum program fund. Now, if you're going to cut back, we're already spending less per child in Alabama than we're spending in any other state in the union. If we're going to add services, then we're going to have to come up with additional revenue.
On page 18, section 14.
This decrease is in the teacher's retirement system.
I second motion.
I'll second. Well, Mr. Jordan?
Adoption.
Yes, sir.
You have anything to say about this?
No, so the bill is written on rank ones.
A court injunction. The Commission would not be required in all sections of this Act. 160.
Mr. Speaker.
Chair, I recognize the gentleman from Mass, Mr. Granger.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to address myself to the matter of priority here, and I'd like, if members of the House would give me your attention, I'm going to be as brief.
60 provides for issuance of orders followed by a speedy hearing before
This bill, House Bill 799, has been endorsed by the Alabama Wildlife Association, which, by the way, supported the other gentleman's original bill, but we're talking about two substitute bills now where the polluters have gotten into his bill. It's supported by the Alabama JCs, who testified in behalf of it, supported by the Alabama Conservancy, supported by the Bass Anglers Society of this state. All groups who stand for clean water in this state have endorsed 799, the substitute therein. Really what we're down to, gentlemen and lady of the House, is the same question that we had before us last week when we considered air pollution. The same basic question of whether we're going to let the foxes guard the hen house or not, whether we're going to have a bill that will give us the tools to do the job. Now, my bill doesn't preclude industry from serving, but it does preclude polluters from serving. It precludes them from regulating themselves, the same issues which we discussed on this microphone 1 week ago.
For
the information of this Senate, I will state to you that this committee met the morning after this committee.
Available. Certainly, 660,000 will not break the highway department, and it's hard for. That is, you and I and all of us in this body and all of the members of the House are being accused of delaying a highway construction program. But the fact is, the highway department has the money, and I am urging, I have urged, and from time to time, and I will continue to urge. I've asked the governor, I've asked the highway director, I've done it directly to them individually, I've done it through the press, through every medium that I could, and I say I had a party, and the other morning we invited the highway people to come, and they declined to appear, and nobody came. But I call upon them again from this forum to go ahead and let the contracts for highway construction in the state of Alabama that are now ready for letting.
We think the legislature should be conscientious enough to provide a significant increase for next year. And then we'll be back 2 years from now to get another increase, and 2 years later another increase, until these children are being served adequately. Now, am I asking special favors for these children? I hope you don't think that, because I don't think that I am. I have 4 normal sons, and I always consider that in dealing with Alan. Am I giving him special favors over and above my 4 normal sons? No, I'm asking fair and equal treatment for these children. They are not receiving it now. They won't be receiving it in 10 years. It'll take longer than that to get us up to the level where we ought to be.
A vice president of the First National Bank and who has been interested in livestock for many, many years. Also, Mr. Cecil Lane, who is the former president of the Alabama Cattlemen's Association.
Wishes to you and your group for taking this progressive step to the attempt to
As you know, the plant was closed in August of 1970, and the Swift and Company was making some attempt to reactivate the plant or sell it, but didn't succeed. So a group of us who are interested in maintaining and keeping this plant in full operation have purchased the plant with the idea of trying to lease it or sell it to a independent packer who will come to this area and kill our live cattle. We feel the function of slaughtering is of prime importance for the growth of the livestock industry in our state, and that we are going to do everything we can to attract a packer to this area. We wanted everyone to know that this plant was available for this purpose, and that if anyone has any leads of any packers from out of the state or within the state who want a better facility, we want them to know that they would be welcome not only by us but by the entire livestock industry.
I have felt for a long time, Mr. Hodges, that due to the fact that we were not producing killing cattle here, that we were in jeopardy of losing our entire industry. I do feel certain now that with the encouragement that you people have given us, that we've got producers in the state are willing to get more in the game they've been. And we in the department are vitally interested in your endeavor. We're going to try to encourage the feeding out of the cattle that Packer would want to slaughter here.
Spent tax on diesel fuel. I believe this may have come out of the House. Is this an administration measure?
No, it's not an administration measure, but it's a vehicle that we need in the Senate to work with to get the proper amount of revenue to fund the bond issue.
Well, we believe that learning is not in compartments. So what we've done in British primary schools is to break down artificial subject barriers. For instance, before children come to school, they want to explore their environment. When they come to school, they just want to go on doing this. So we introduce themes or topics and try to involve as much of the curriculum as possible around this.
What is wrong with the traditional method of teaching that we're familiar with?
Well, some of it is very good, but we feel that what we're doing offers more in relation to child development than the traditional, which perhaps offered more on the side of subject-orientated learning, or teaching rather.
Who decides how much time a student spends on one particular subject, one traditional subject, such as arithmetic? Does he determine how much time he spends in that area?
Well, no, the teacher is very much still in control. And I think to suggest that it's a free-for-all, or that there is a little bit of chaos, or that children are free to choose, is quite a misunderstanding. The teacher is very much in control, and her role is to help the child, to stimulate the child, to guide the child, and correct and reinforce as and when necessary.
So, in this philosophy, the teacher still has a minimum goal for the whole class as well as for each child that she's trying to achieve.
I think perhaps it's very much an individualized thing. We like to think that the horizons are widened and that each child is able to go as far as he's able. And in fact, the depth of learning and experience that children are involved with under this approach proves that this is to be so. the Chinese proverb which states, I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand.
Mr. Harvey, you mentioned the other day in the Ways and Means Committee about a pay raise for the state employees. Could you tell us about that?
Yes, John, we had 3 or 4 retirement bills and a cost of living raise bill in the Ways and Means Committee. And I discussed it with the governor, and the governor told me, one of his cabinet members, we had a meeting, and he agreed that lack of money in the funds, that he would give the state employees a one-step raise this year, which represents about 5% of the salary, 5% increase.
And what will this cost the state?
John, I believe it's about $6 million for 5%. It's $120 million payroll now for all the state employees. I had this ethics bill, as you know. It's been on the calendar. I had it on the calendar in 1969. It's a very comprehensive bill. It's a Louisiana law. And this bill, House Bill 161, as you know, it passed. But it had an amendment to it. It also had House Bill 1892 was a companion bill that regulated the legislature. Now, this was not my idea. This came from the Judiciary Committee. A subcommittee had worked this thing out and said that under the Constitution that the legislature are the only people that can regulate legislators. So we had to set up, or they set up, a separate committee, ethics committee, to deal with the legislators. Now, I'm told by a lot of the members, 1 or 2 of the members, that it's not as strong as my original bill. But in this case, John, this is a step forward, I feel. And it's much better than what we had, and that was nothing. So I feel at later dates there will be amendments placed on this bill to really put the teeth in it that's needed to regulate the legislature.
You don't feel like you could have gotten that stronger bill out this time?
No, sir. I don't feel that I could. It was a strenuous bill. It was strong. We needed, and I'm not saying we didn't need it at all, and I think most people agree. But I did have 62 signatures on this particular bill, enough to pass it. Had it come out of committee in its original form, it would have passed.
What about this penalty clause they put in there about disclosing the findings of the investigative committee?
Well,
commission.
As I told you, I had to accept what I could get out of the committee at that time. I'm not real happy with it. A lot of other people are not. But as I told you before, it's better than nothing. And I feel like that this is a start, and I'll continue to work on this ethics bill until I get it into a form, or proper form, that I feel will be very effective.
Do you think the Senate is going to go along with the strong pollution control measures that passed by the House?
The Senate is going along with a strong air pollution bill. I think we'll wind up with 1 or 2, possibly 2 industrial representatives on the commission, and it may be non-voting members, but they're going along with a strong bill. The administration wants the strongest bill we can possibly pass. And I don't have any hang-up about the industrial representatives one way or the other. I just soon leave them all, as far as I'm concerned. I thought we'd get the strongest possible bill we could pass and put 2 on there, and I really believe that's what you're going to have to pass it. But the Senate's going to go along with a strong pollution bill.